beautiful day, driving home. I'll roll one of the windows up so you guys can hear me better, get some better audio in there. I want you guys to be able to hear me well. This is gonna be a good video. Lots of valuable information. I'm gonna make it very systematic. I'm going to systematically teach you how to think about the gut in this video for health. So, if you've ever read Alan Watts' book, The Book, it's a great book, it's philosophical. He talks about how we're basically all just tubes. Like, we're tubes, and like tubes put stuff in one end of the tube, it comes out the other end of the tube, and like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been built around this. But like, at the end of the day, at a biological level, we're tubes. And that's just accurate. Like, we are this digestive tract, first and foremost, in our ability to digest things, to breathe, to have metabolism, but really eat and digest things through our gut. Like teeth, like the health of our teeth is really important for organisms' lifespan, any creature's lifespan. Once your teeth fall out, your teeth are not healthy, then you will get sick and you will die. And you will have decreased health. So keep your teeth healthy. You have to keep the whole system very, very, very healthy. One thing that's actually been found to be very beneficial for, I can't grab it, I'm driving, not a red light, but I'm not going to try to grab that, it'd be silly. But I have a bunch of raw liver, and I went to, let's see, I turn my phone on airplane mode so no one can call me while I'm filming this, because that would just be, it ruins the film. But I'm going to get raw liver, and I got this raw cow liver, raw organic cow liver from Eva's Farms. Awesome stuff. I eat it for vitamins, and liver, K2, vitamin A, consumption of liver though, and these other animal organs has been shown by Weston A. Price and the Weston A. Price Foundation to be the determining factor in oral health. They actually found that brushing, flossing, all this stuff was not as big of a determinant whether or not you get cavities as whether or not you, just like the levels of vitamin A, K2, and these fat soluble vitamins found in animal organs. So get on that. Like I said, it's gonna be a very systematic exploration of the gut, going through everything. Like, I'm gonna teach you guys some stuff about the gut. Well, I'm really going to present you a bunch of ideas in an entertaining way, in a way that I find engaging, and then you can educate yourself from that. I can't force you to learn anything. I can't teach you anything, but I can inspire learning by sharing information and engagement with you guys. So, the gut. We got these mouths. Our mouths have bacteria in them. You want to chew your food a lot in order to digest it well, but let's go through the gut, basic function of the gut first, and then I'll go through the things that are wrong, that can go wrong with your gut, why those things tend to go wrong, complexities because of those, and what I find in my own personal experience, and the experience of coaching people over 6 years now, longer non-professionally, but like 6 years of coaching experience and a lifetime of self-experimentation and 15 years of research, roughly 15,000 hours of research. I am the global expert in the world on insomnia. That is yet to be globally recognized at the time of filming this video, but it will be after I don't know, at some point in the future. I'm not really like stressing about it. I'm just writing my book, making these videos, and just wanted to get this knowledge out into the world. It's not that like so with insomnia, I know more about insomnia than anyone else in the world, at least this particular type of insomnia that I had. And so I'm the global expert in that area, this particular type of insomnia, and I have a high aptitude for helping people get perspective on all manner of sleep problems, and really all manner of health, fitness, and high performance problems in general. And I like to coach wrestlers and jiu-jitsu athletes just because I do wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So I have this broad skill set that focuses mainly, like, I didn't want to be a health coach. I didn't want to run a health, fitness, and high performance company. I did not want to change the medical landscape as we know it. That was not my goal. I never set out to do any of those things. But, like, actually, initially, I just wanted to be a chemical engineer. I saw lots of money in chemistry, and I was just very interested in chemistry. I was very interested in optimizing chemical systems for like a green future, like figuring that kind of stuff out. That was really what interested me. But I had insomnia, and no one knew how to fix my insomnia. No one on planet Earth. I went to every single resource available for insomnia over like 15 years, and no one knew how to fix it. It was completely, I just went to everything, and I found like, holy cow, I think there's actually this type of insomnia that people don't really know about, or at least there's no published literature on it. People joke about like fatal insomnia. That's like the closest to literature on the type of insomnia I had. That's the closest thing I found, which is really scary, and was really scary until I figured out what it is. And just spoiler alert, it's a complex metabolic neurological issue that I believe has a primary cause of autoimmunity with a large degree of secondary causes and complexities, and potentially maybe one other, I don't know. There's at least one primary autoimmune cause, and then like a few secondary causes and complexities that create these feedback loops that prevent it from healing itself. And I'm writing a book about it called Weak to Warrior, the God Engine, or maybe the Divine Engine. And it's about what I figured out to help me sleep, and what I think I don't know, there's just a way of thinking I developed. And I prayed about it, and I meditated on it, and I thought about it. I was like, how am I going to express this? I'm like, well, it's kind of based on the idea that man is created in the image of God. Like, we have a purpose, and our purpose is to express our creative potential. And the more that we can do that through the myriad of ways that we live in this balanced way, and I kind of just express the balance, and I go through this. And it's based in large part on Paul Chek's, or the ideas I got from Paul Chek are the 4 doctors' neuroscience principles. I've learned about the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and I don't want to reveal too much because it's not really what this video is about, but it's just like this problem of like, this is kind of the problem of like the God engine that I'm positing. It's like, okay, here we are, we're these human beings, we have these systems that keep us alive and drive us forward, and they involve being awake, being asleep, digesting, not digesting, sympathetic, parasympathetic, rest and digest, fight or flight, feed and breed. All these different systems we have that have these on-off quality. Because I was wondering, like, why doesn't my brain turn off? That was the question I set out to answer. Why does my brain not turn off? It's like a chemical reaction had taken place in my brain. Literally, I could take all the sleep drugs in the world, all of them, after days and weeks and months of not sleeping, and I would still not sleep. Like, it was I thought I was gonna die. I just would like, here's like, if you have insomnia, this is like the thing that helped, the biggest. Multi-day fasting. It did not solve the problem in and of itself, but it would allow me to sleep. I would just fast for 2 to 3 days, and then I would kind of start like sleeping then, because my body would kind of have like a reset. If I'd like maybe 5 days, I fasted for over a week. Like, I think like 8 days without food is the longest I've gone. But like, when you're not sleeping, you have no metabolism, so it doesn't really feel like anything. You're just kind of like this zombie. And then I would like refeed strategically to kickstart the engine. Like, it was like this, and this is partially what the God engine's about. Like, when the engine's not going, why isn't the engine going? How do we remove the things that are preventing the engine from going and get the engine going? How do we do that? How do we start the God engine? I mean, how do we start the engine that is human beings so that I can like have hormone production, sleep, and really have like the normal on-off function that human beings should all be having? So I just conceptualize, because human beings, like, it's all based on metabolism. So that's why the title is the God engine, or that's why the metaphor is an engine. It's a metaphor for metabolism, and it uses lots of wonderful themes. It's going to be very beautiful. I want to get it out very, very shortly, because it's so beautiful in my mind. And like, also like, I want credit for these ideas. Like, these aren't really my idea. Honestly, I don't care, whatever. People can write their own versions of this book, even if they like watch these videos and pirate all my ideas. And because at the end of the day, like, I don't own these ideas because I don't own the English language. Like, I didn't invent the English language. I can only own these ideas insofar as I can express these ideas better than anyone else. And I can claim origination for these ideas. This oh. Okay, so there's this crazy thing that happened when I was in 3rd grade where webkins were very, very popular. And I started a rumor that the Dr. Quack guy would like kill your webkin if you brought him to the doctor. So I just wanted to see how far a rumor would go. And my wife, who I met from Florida, she's about the same age as me, a year younger, she had that same rumor growing up, and she told me about it, and I was like, did it spread that far? Like, I hope so. I have this like this deep belief that like I'm powerful enough, that human beings are each other, like all of us are powerful enough to start some sort of like a silly rumor or something that could spread to like the corners of the earth, or maybe at least Florida. I live in Massachusetts. So with that being said, whether I originated that idea or not, and whether I will ultimately be credited with originating it or any of my own ideas or any of these ideas, and whether or not I did originate them or they are just floating around the collective unconscious, the degree to which human beings can originate things, all of this, I'm going to go on in these videos because I have so many ideas I want to express, and I'm not just going to limit it to like the gut in this. Like, we're going to get to the gut. Like, you guys are going to learn all about the gut. But here's some background. So I think that ideas need to be embodied. So I don't actually think that anyone can write the book on insomnia that I'm going to write. I think a lot of people could try. But I don't think anyone can write that book or run this company. Like, they just can't. Like, there's no way. Because I think about like what I had to go through to do that. And I'm like, could some like person, some carpet bagging, it's a term I've heard people use when people move into industries and steal their stuff. Carpet bagging, enterprising, opportunist just come along and like steal my stuff. Because like, but then I'm like, okay, well, first of all, there's nothing to steal at the end of the day right now. Like right now, there's nothing to steal in terms of ideas expressed, because they haven't expressed anything yet. So I want to get the ideas out there first. Then they'll start doing good in the world. Like, I don't see these ideas in the world, so I'm not worried about them being stolen, but I am kind of worried about them being stolen because I'm just like, I don't know, I'm kind of paranoid. I have this like paranoia, and I think all of us kind of have it. I don't know if you guys have it, but like, I got this paranoia of like, you know, like, what if I just bring all this stuff out there and everyone just steals it and I'm not giving credit? It's just like, maybe, like The Old Man and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway, he wrote that whole book about that. That's a depressing book. I don't want my life to be The Old Man and the Sea. I want my life to be like Odysseus, but like without the, I don't know, like I hopefully have already gone through my 20 years of suffering, so that'd be pretty sweet. If my life could be like Odysseus's life after he kills all the suitors, but it's me like ridding the world of insomnia now. Now I'm like killing all the suitors, and it's just like, ha 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 ha, I don't know. But Odysseus is the guy who inspired me the most of any story ever. So that's the model of a man. You want to know what a man is? Go read the Odyssey. And call me crazy, but I think that's what built ancient Greece, and ancient Greece and its ideas are what built us. So if you want to like really get it, you have to read the books that built the world. So ultimately, ideas need to be embodied. So all these ideas were ultimately floating around in the collective unconscious, but it took someone with this particular problem for the ideas and the solution to this particular problem to be embodied. Like, my dad recently sent me this video about metabolism. He's like, holy cow, metabolism and metabolic problems, the cause of all these issues. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I've been telling everyone that for years. And actually, like, I think I'm like 100 years ahead of medical science, because they're right about to get to the point where they realize metabolism is the solution. And I already realized metabolism was the solution back in like 2016. And that still didn't solve the insomnia problem. So I had to develop these complex systems that describe the interrelationship between metabolism, hormones, neurotransmitters, the gut, digestion, nutrition, and like the genome. Basically, like, it's really like the breathing, the HPA axis, and the circadian rhythm, and sleep, and hormones. I've already mentioned that, but all these things I've described in my own mind and my being, the interrelationship between all of these things completely, to the point where I can tell you protocols for how to instrumentally manipulate each of these variables, how it will then affect each of the other variables. I mean, my life's work is going to be not going to be limited to simply proving this stuff scientifically. I'm going to obviously found my own institute where I prove all of this stuff scientifically and have studies to back up the interrelationship of all of these things beyond just the studies that I could cite proving the concepts and relationships. I want to prove specifically to a mathematical point all of this stuff and then build on this. But so I'll probably go far beyond this because I'm only 25 and I've done all this with insomnia with like very limited resources. So limited resources may be a blessing though, because I may have had to solve the problems with principles rather than simply throwing money at the problem. I can't just be like, oh, I'll just take all the peptides and hormones, because I can't afford all that, or I couldn't for most of my life. So I had to develop solutions that relied on understanding. And all that understanding will be expressed in Week to Warrior, the God Engine. Very excited. So, back to the gut. We are metabolic beings. And that's, again, I don't think you can understand the gut without understanding the metabolism, because the metabolism is the driver of the gut. You have to have metabolism. You have to have mitochondrial function for your body to have peristalsis, have digestion, produce enzymes, produce hydrochloric acid, and do all these processes that lead to the breakdown, assimilation of the nutrients, macro and micro, that are both used for energy and for the production of energy. So the basic way macro and micronutrients works is we have macronutrients, which provide structure and energy, and then micronutrients, which also provide structure, but we largely think of as providing the, so it's like I don't know, like proteins, like this. So let's say like you're a boat. You're a boat. Protein is the stuff you build the boat out of and the stuff you build the engine out of. Also fats and carbs, because you use fat to build your cell membrane. So fat to a large degree, protein, fat, what you build yourself out of. Carbohydrates to a lesser degree. So protein, fat, you build yourself out of. And then you have also fat and carbohydrates are your energy sources. So you have to build an engine, build a ship, build this vehicle that can move around. I mean, you really have to build an engine, because like you have to build your own gut. Literally, I mean, we build our own guts as living beings. In our mother's womb, we do that. She provides us nutrients, but we build our own guts. And we also build our metabolism at the same time. We build our gut and we build our metabolism at the same time. And then we feed our gut and we feed our metabolism and our cells through this process for our whole life, starting at conception, from the remainder of our life until death and decomposition. That is what the process of being alive is the process of intaking oxygen and nutrients through our respiratory system, through our gut, through our blood, and building ourselves out of them. At the same time, we expend energy in a way that also furthers this growth. This is what our gut is, and this is what our gut supports, and this is what we are, and this is the process of being alive and how our gut supports this process. And our gut supports this process by being the things that provide us energy and structure, and the raw materials go into. And then our gut is the chemist. It's the chemist that takes it apart and then rebuilds it into whatever we need, supplies our gut bacteria with things. Our gut bacteria are really like the builders, and they're like, that's like the assembly line. Our gut bacteria are the builders along the assembly line, taking the components that we give it and turning those components via their bacterial processes into other things. I mean, I think a full-on like 10 to 40% of the proteins and amino acids that we use are produced by our gut. We give our gut certain amino acids, then our guts and the bacteria in our gut make those amino acids into other amino acids. And we have good bacteria, they make good amino acids. We have bad bacteria, they make bad amino acids. And our HPA axis interacts with our gut and tells the bacteria in our gut what amino acids and neurotransmitters to make, that then tells our brain what hormones to secrete that are released into our bloodstream, that are go into our tissues and our cells to stimulate our cells at a receptor level and stimulate all of our organs, the cells in our organs, via both receptors in the brain and receptors on the organ sites, to release the further hormones and enzymes that release the specific energies and processes that the organs are meant to release to facilitate the specific parts of metabolism that our brain has instructed via this process and the feedback from our gut to produce, to create the ongoing experience that is us, that we then breathe in, breathe out. That affects the HPA axis, which is in turn our brain, spinal cord, adrenals sit on top of the kidneys, affect the gut, affect the metabolism of these things, instruct the gut bacteria on what amino acids to secrete for the processes our brain is on a continuing basis instructing our bodies to undergo, including hormonal production, further digestion, all these things. And when we have excess of heavy metals, we have seed oils that confuse this process and confuse the feedback systems, we have food dyes, we have GMOs, pesticides, I don't know, just God knows what things we put into our gut, into this tube, into our bodies, giving the chemist, oh my God, I need to clean my car out, my kombucha bottles are spilling around everywhere, giving the chemist all these different things, giving our gut bacteria these different things, giving our bodies different signals. So if we give our gut bacteria certain foods, that will trigger an immune reaction, which opens the tight junctions in the endothelial wall of our lumen, of like the lumen, like you have these cells that form the intestinal barrier, and they will open. That's what leaky gut syndrome is, releasing this stuff into our bloodstream, triggering further autoimmune response, causing more A, dysbiosis, B, malabsorption of stuff, C, if there's any heavy metals in what you're eating, which there probably is, it's going to go right into your gut, from your gut into your bloodstream, now from your bloodstream into your organs, causing a distressed response. I've had this response happen. The reason I know what this is because I had this response happen when I was on Carnival. I'll describe this through this horrible process of pain. So they say people only learn when you tell them your pain. So now we will learn from pain. I will describe to you horrible bloody agony as I shit and piss blood for days, curled up in a ball in my room, whimpering, just smoking weed out of an apple. My parents would like come up, they're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'll tell you, if I need to go to the ER, just let me be. I'm just like, fuck. I'm smoking like weed out of an apple, trying to ease the pain, and I'm like what are they gonna like do if they go to the ER? It's just, they're not gonna, I just have to like drink water and like take magnesium to try to pump my gut out and let my gut the shit out. The immune response that's blocking itself, it's horrible. So how did this happen? So I'm on carnivore for days and weeks and months, years. I think 2.5 years, 2 years at this point. I'm on carnivore for 2 years uninterrupted at this point. I think this is like a year into like only beef, salt, and water. And I'm like, okay, well, now it's time to just eat a bunch of salad and stuff and see what happens. Cause like, that's a smart idea. I just wanted to see, I wanted to find the limit. And I was listening to Cole Robinson talk about this stuff. I was like, had dysbiosis, and I was wondering if I could fast to get away, but I couldn't fast because I had dysbiosis from consuming energy drinks at this point in time. So I'm like, whatever, let's just see what happens. Let us experiment. Let's eat a bunch of greens. Let's see what happens. And it's going to feed my gut. You know, everyone says leafy greens are good for your gut. We're going to feed my gut. I'm going to do a fast. Anyway, so eat these greens after not having consumed greens or any of this stuff, like onions. I got all this stuff in there. Sulfur. Okay, so here you go. So there's sulfur in the onions. So that'll explain one of the mechanisms. So sulfur is a chelating agent. So basically, I eat this stuff. My body, which hasn't been exposed to any of these compounds for years at this point, like 2 years at this point, goes nuts. Gut bacteria don't know what to do. Autoimmune response. That's just what happens if your body becomes hypersensitive. I'll explain why hypersensitivity happens in other videos. And I have other videos describing that. So autoimmune response happens. Body starts like break out in hives, body starts like freaking out, like just heart palpitations, my brain's going nuts. I'm like shitting like weird things, like, and what's happening basically is the autoimmunity has caused leaky gut, which is releasing these sulfur compounds and undigested food compounds, but largely sulfur compounds too, into my bloodstream. Sulfur compounds in my bloodstream cause chelation of heavy metals, release heavy metals into my body. Because my body, I haven't consumed anything with sulfur in it for like years at this point. So my body's just been storing heavy metals from my massive metabolism, because metabolism is a mechanism for preventing heavy metals from hanging around, but they'll get stored. So my body's probably storing heavy metals. I suspected that, which is why I was trying to change up dietary things at this point. Also, not the least of which, because of the plastics in the bottles that I was using, the God knows what in the energy drinks I was drinking, and the dysbiosis that happened as a result. Nightmare, shitting blood, peeing blood, horrible stuff, autoimmunity, blah, 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 blah. I nursed myself back to health. Heavy metals just like rampant throughout my body. Like I just like freak myself out. I kind of like, after that, I just consume massive amounts of saturated fat, which I later learned helped. Like in retrospect, last 8 months, I realized in research that all this was heavy metals. And I just started on a green tea and chlorella heavy metal detox. And that's been fixing the issue, and I'll explain why. But it's metabolism driven through the gut. Your body detoxes heavy metals through your gut. So, but it needs stuff to bond to. So this is why the chlorella and the green tea come in. The chlorella and the green tea provide the most mild of things. The green tea has polyphenols, which help your gut bacteria, kill bad bacteria. Whole bunch of stuff I've released on green tea. Go look at it. But it also stimulates metabolism, which helps with detox. It gets into all your tissues, but it basically prevents the heavy metals from going anywhere and encourages their gradual release into your urinary tract, through your bladder, and into your gut through your intestine. Once there, they will be excreted because it stays bonded to polyphenols, as far as I know. But the research all suggests this, and you can go look at the research yourself. And all this research will be included in God Engine and all my books and all my stuff. So, anyway, chlorella also sits in the gut. So when you have high metabolism and your body is engaging its natural detox protocols and pathways, you can aid that by adding chlorella to your diet through supplementation, easy supplementation tablets, and that will aid detox. It's very, very, very effective because the heavy metals bond to the chlorella in your gut, and then you just poop it out. I have fasting protocols I've released videos on that show you how to do this, or at least how I do this, because I don't give medical advice. I show you how I do this. I show you how I've taught my clients that people do this, all the complex whatever. But anyway, basically, fasting also moves, like if you are fat and you fast, your body will move heavy metals from your fat to your bloodstream. That's why you feel weird. So if you drink green tea and you take chlorella while you fast, if you're fat, oftentimes you're also fat because your body is creating fat to store toxins in, because it has no other way to store them, and it wants to keep them away from your organs so that your organs keep working. So you can have a high metabolism but lots of fat, because, and as a result, you'll have lots of inflammation and issues because you have large amounts of heavy metals and toxins and plastics that are being stored in your fat. that your body can't detox through your gut because you're not using these protocols. So this video is starting to drag, but this is going to be the gut mastery video 1, and I will just continue this train of thought for the gut and health in other videos. I've realized I just need to teach you guys all this stuff, because if I try to sell my courses to just be like, oh no, if you buy my course, then I'll teach you how to do this, no one's even going to understand what I'm teaching them, because I'm so far ahead of everyone anyway that like no one would understand it. Literally, like, this stuff I'm teaching you is just base level 1, not even entry level into the systems and frameworks that I've discovered and innovated through my own experience and through my nervous system and through my language faculty. So, which is kind of like the process of embodiment that I think Carl Jung's describing. Like, there's all these ideas floating around that are expressed in language that were originated in a human nervous system. These ideas could be used to solve problems if combined in a certain way, but in order to do that, they have to be articulated through the language faculty, but also expressed through a human nervous system at the same time. This is the process of embodiment, which is just one of the things that is symbolized by the incarnation of Jesus Christ. My very good friend, who will remain nameless, tells me that he believes I have discovered, and that he's been a part of this process. So he and I have discovered together, but I have articulated, and I have largely led the process of discovering the process. Well, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I've articulated out solutions to this problem of sleep and many other things through that. My friend has benefited from many of these things and has also helped me in the discovery of these things, but the articulation of these things has happened through me and my nervous system because of my insane focus on it. But like, it's also happened through the nervous systems of other people, because I rely on the work of Paul Chek, Christopher Walker, Marty Gallagher, Elliot Hulse, Mark Hyman, Joseph Miercola, and countless other people that I will list out in my book's bibliography. But I have my own particular embodiment of these ideas that needed to happen in its own way, and then I describe a bunch of these other ideas. But like, the whole process of kickstarting hormones wasn't invented by me. It was invented by Ray Peat, and then refined by Christopher Walker, and then further refined by me, and combined with other ideas that I got from Paul Chek and Elliot Hulse that he got from Paul Chek. That, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just this network, and I could go into it, but like, I don't know, we're all just these beautiful, wonderful human beings made in the image of God, working to bring forth that image of God on earth. And I believe the God engine is a beautiful metaphor to describe the process of energy generation through human interaction, through the interaction of our organs and society and everything. It's as above, so below. And you can just see this beautiful process of nature. And again, this is like what my friend means when he says that we could only discover this because of, he says Orthodox Christianity, I think Christianity in general, but Orthodox Christianity, a specific Christian perspective that revolves around the incarnation of God and the incorporation of all things into God through their all being made through the Word, who is God. Like, literally, I mean, all things are made through Jesus Christ, who is the Logos, who is the Word of God. And we are also made in His image. So we can look to health as the integration of all these things into the ability of human beings to be like God, who is the embodiment of like health, truth, life, creativity, and all these things that we see God doing through creation, through faith in the incarnation of God. I mean, you can be a Hindu and believe in the incarnation of God. Like, this is like, I want people to like start thinking more the G.K. Chesterton everlasting man sense. Like, view this from the outside. Everyone believes that God became man, or at least that, like, I mean, I guess the Muslims and the Jews don't. But everyone else believes that God became man, or at least that he's trying to be, or something akin to that, because how else can I don't know, I don't have to make this a theological rant. It starts with the gut and ends with theology, which is beautiful. It's beautiful that we can do that, because there's no separation between these things. And like, that's why the book is Weak to Warrior, the God Engine. I'm just gonna keep making more of these videos. You know, I've had a fear of being misunderstood and not wanting to stray too far into these themes that really, I mean, this is where all these ideas come from for me. It's mysticism. It's just mysticism. It's pure mysticism. It's not pure mysticism. It's also a lot of science. I mean, I just read all the science. I read the mysticism. Like, I'm happy I'm alive. I feel like I'm alive because I read 15,000 hours of science, and then I prayed a lot, and then my nervous system and God constructed the solution through the collective unconscious that I'm now going to articulate for insomniacs everywhere. Am I crazy or a genius? Probably both. I don't know. I think I've just solved the problem of sleep. And I think that to do that, I had to think in novel ways that I need to express scientifically in an articulate manner in a book to be taken seriously. And that's the main difference between madness and genius, is can you express your ideas rationally in a book that other people understand? So I'm going to try to do that so I can be a genius and not crazy. And on that note, have a nice day. Tune in tomorrow.